Hi, and welcome back to Management Information Systems, Chapter 10, Part 2. So we are still talking about Chapter 10. Didn't have enough time to finish in the previous video. And we're starting where we left off. We were talking about, and I'm just going to go back one so that you can see where we left off. Implementation alternatives. So we talked a little bit about implementation alternatives and some of the disadvantages of those alternatives and not using information systems people in order to do your project. So in terms of information alternatives, your group needs to develop, guidelines for end users. That is important so that they know how to utilize your solution. And also have criteria for evaluating, approving, or rejecting the solution you come up with. Data administration should be enforced to ensure integrity. Make for sure that the data is reliable and secure. You can outsource. An organization can hire external vendors to do consultant types of things for the organization if they don't have the expertise inside of the organization. There's also something that's called crowdsourcing, which is a process where this is something that's traditionally performed by employees or contractors to a crowd through an open call. So there might be like an onshore, a nearshore, or an offshore crowdsourcing. So the advantages are that it could be less expensive, there could be a quicker delivery, and it helps organizations concentrate on their core functions. So when you have people come in from outside of the organization, things can happen as a part of the advantage, being less expensive and quick. And your employees are able to concentrate on core functions, but you have a loss of control, and you also develop a dependency on those people that are not a part of your organization. And there's always the vulnerability of strategic information or confidential information that could be exposed to outside folks. So during the maintenance phase, a system is normally operating, and enhancements and modifications are made. They're developed and tested, and then they're implemented into your system. So that may be an upgrade of your system in terms of you may go from one version of your software to another because of the improved security features and functionality that it provides. There may be performance data and information that's gathered and assessed. You may get feedback from users, customers, and other people, and then correction action is taken if the system's objectives are not met. And that's why the testing phase is so important, is you have to have all those people involved in order to approve anything that may be upgraded or a part of the maintenance piece. So when you're talking about the systems development lifecycle model, it's inappropriate if there's a lack of specifications. So you need to have requirements, very specific requirements, so that you're assured that you get exactly what you need when you go to do a project or when you go to improve your system. Input and output processes can be identified and completed. Documentation is really important in this part. The process that's used, and you can do Visio diagrams as well as written summaries of a process. The problem is ad hoc. That would be something that would be inappropriate. Users' needs change constantly, so that's one of the reasons that you have a project, is that once you have sign-off from your stakeholders in doing a project. Any change is managed by change management, which means that if a change is made, the users need to understand that there may be an extra investment in terms of money, or there may be an additional investment in terms of time. When you set up a project, there's a certain list of things that you're trying to accomplish, and once that's been agreed upon, you have to make for sure that there aren't more things added unless the end user understands that there are going to be repercussions to doing that in terms of money or time. So a service-oriented architecture focuses on the development use and reuse of small blocks of codes. A lot of people reuse code, especially like SQL queries and things like that. And it saves time. Once they're developed, then you can reuse them. Attempts to solve software development issues it helps because these are leveraging existing services and existing things that have been developed. So service-oriented architecture, using those blocks of code from a pool of resources or services that have been saved and are put in a place where they can be reused. The benefits are the application development time is shortened. There's greater flexibility, and there's improved return on investment. In Rapid application development, you have user involvement in the continuous interaction between the users and the designers. It combines the planning analysis phases to develop a prototype of the system, and uses an iterative process, which means design, development, and testing steps are repeated as needed. And it's just like you're going back and through that design, development, and testing phase. And based on the feedback from your users, then you move forward. So it's iterative. The drawbacks are there's a narrow focus. Sometimes there can be low quality. Methods for developing software applications in information system projects. There can be projects divided into smaller functions or into phases that you have a certain phase that you try to accomplish within a certain period of time. And each function is developed in a step-by-step fashion. In some cases, it delivers the system to users as early as possible. And that's what you're hoping to accomplish. And to make changes that users suggest. And there's also paired programming or pair programming, where two programmers participate in one development effort. That's where versioning control is really important, so that as you make changes to program code, it's versioned in such a way where you can always step back to a previous version if you have issues. It uses a software library for reusable pieces of code that can be integrated into a new system. There's agile methodology, which I'm familiar with. We do not use that at this point. As you become better at managing projects and you become part of a project management team, you start to be able to use that agile methodology, which I think is really nice to do when you are trying to accomplish a lot of things and you have an organization that's rapidly developing. And it focuses on incremental development of processes and the delivery of work and software. The agile methodology uses that step-by-step approach. It has goals that respond to changing needs, and it's working on developing high-quality software, and it strives to deliver the software quickly. And these are some of the key terms that are a part of this chapter. We covered a lot with this SDLC piece. If you have a time to take a look in depth at this chapter, it's a really good chapter, especially if you are involved in information systems at all. This is something you will use quite a bit in the future. See you in the next module.